A new rule in honor of the Academy Awards show this Sunday. Tonight, I would like to commemorate the moment 50 years ago that transformed the Oscar telecast into what it is today. A 4-hour lecture on how bad most people have it by the people who have it the best. You rail against privilege, but you avail yourself of the greatest privilege of all, to remain clueless. Dave Chappelle lashed out at me last month because I called him out for saying there was more free speech in Saudi Arabia than here. Well, I was right. What he said was stupid. America has many problems, including free speech issues on both left and right, but we're real different than Saudi Arabia. If you don't believe me, try opening a lesbian art gallery.
Bill Maher has finally dropped a series of explosive revelations, leaving Hollywood in a full-blown dilemma. As we all know, the once vibrant movie industry has steadily taken a nosedive, and Maher believes no one is to blame but Hollywood itself. His revelations are sharp, eye-opening, and brutally honest. And we've got every clip. So hit the subscribe button, buckle up, and let's get started.
Oh, I just got a Golden Globe nomination for the one I did.
Oh, really?
That's yesterday.
How often do you get nominated for your specials?
Nothing. I used to get nominated for everything.
Yeah.
And then the wokeness came in, and then I was considered conservative. Which
are you bad?
Ridiculous. So I was what I call soft canceled.
Yeah.
Where you don't
Well, I'm a Bill Clinton liberal, which is from the 90s, which is now called a Nazi.
Exactly, right.
Yeah.
You're a white supremacist.
So this is the first time in a while I've been nominated for something.
Okay.
Which I think shows a little bit that we are coming out of the wokeness.
Maher never backed down or softened his stance. Instead, he doubled down. He continued taking sharp jabs at the industry, unapologetically calling out its hypocrisy, and even devoted a significant portion of his most recent comedy special to tearing into what he sees as woke Hollywood excesses. While others might have pulled punches to stay in good standing, Maher leaned into the backlash, using it as fuel rather than a warning. That's what makes the latest twist so ironic. After sidelining him for years, Hollywood suddenly turned around and nominated him for an award once again. Maher openly admitted he found the move fascinating, if not absurd. The same industry that quietly pushed him aside for speaking out now appears eager to reclaim him, raising the question of whether Hollywood's principles are firm or flexible when it becomes convenient. Anyways, he had the opportunity to be at the event, and he created even more drama.
It's not one that the woke can watch and not throw up, because I call their shit out and the fact that people are laughing shows that it's funny. When you do stupid things, it's funny. And the left did a lot more stupid things in the last 5 to 10 years. And I'm a comedian. I go where the gold is. And it's hitting the side of a barn to make fun of some of this shit.
Sure, it's too easy.
If you think, I quoted like very esteemed publications like The Atlantic or saying things like, separating sports by sex doesn't make sense. Well, if that's not of course it does. If anybody can't do 5 minutes on that, or Mr. Beast, who was helping disabled people, and the Washington Post guy was tweeting like, he thinks disability is something that needs to be solved.
Maher argues that Hollywood is far more interested in performative activism than in taking real, meaningful action, and he wants no part of it. To him, the industry's obsession with symbolic gestures has replaced genuine problem-solving. He questions what any of it actually accomplishes. How does wearing a pin at an award show fix deep-rooted issues in Minneapolis? How does draping a café over a designer suit in America do anything to solve a complex conflict in Palestine? Maher's point isn't to dismiss serious causes, but to expose the emptiness of virtue, signaling that stops at optics. In his view, these gestures exist to make celebrities feel morally validated, not to create real change. Hollywood congratulates itself for raising awareness, then moves on to the next trend, never addressing the hard, uncomfortable work that real solutions require. For Maher, activism without action is just performance. And performance, he argues, is Hollywood's favorite illusion.
And walking in, some reporter asked me why I wasn't wearing a lapel pin for the first Minneapolis shooting a couple of weeks ago, and I said, well, it was a terrible thing that happened, and it shouldn't have happened, and if they didn't act like such thugs, it wouldn't have had to happen, but I don't need to wear a pin about it. Now, please understand, I had no idea this question was coming, and so tonight, I'd like to say that if I had the chance to think about it, my answer would be exactly the same. I hope I didn't spoil the perfect record of pins and ribbons solving all the work.
Maher didn't mince words when describing Hollywood celebrities, branding many of them as purely performative with no real intention of fighting for any cause. According to him, their activism isn't driven by conviction, but by imitation. One celebrity wears a pin, and suddenly everyone else rushes to grab one. 2, not out of belief, but out of fear of standing out. Maher even suggested that some of them likely had no idea why the pin was being worn in the first place, but wore it anyway without understanding the cause. In his view, this herd mentality exposes how shallow much of Hollywood's activism really is. It's less about understanding issues or pushing for change, and more about social survival and image management. Maher argues that when activism becomes a fashion accessory, it loses all meaning and credibility.
I mean, you can't name a problem from guns to AIDS to bullying to breast cancer that still exists after people wore a ribbon for it. Except all of them. You fucking poser. 3 years ago, everybody was all into Ukrainian flags. What happened to that? Another cause tossed into the junk drawer with yesterday's choke collar? Get out of here with your virtue-signaling body ornaments. They're just crucifixes for liberals. Because every time I see one, I think,